Hey, I'm Rick.
Hey, I am Cindy. Together we are Dry Run Dulcimer.
We are.
And we are back from an exciting week at Ohio Valley
Oh,
Gathering.
yeah, it's good.
If you got to see the last lesson, we interviewed a couple of our friends and they gave some really good information about playing by ear. And some of the things were just so simple and what to me should be obvious to a person, but they weren't to me. They were not obvious. I needed somebody to say them.
They were bringing up things that we hadn't thought of or hadn't talked about. And I knew that would happen because everyone is different with their approach to this. Everyone that already does some of this, and we found out that it's not totally play by ear. They start with their tab. Some of them do. Some of them think by numbers instead of the notes or the chords and different things. So there's lots of differences, but it's good to hear and talk about all those differences.
Right. And because that video was so wonderful, and because we have more than 2 friends, we made another video that you're going to get to see this week.
We actually did it the same day and within 30 minutes of the other one. But we forgot to do an intro for both. We didn't realize at that time it was going to be 2 different videos.
No, we didn't. But yeah, it was a lot of good information and we didn't want to cut any out. So therefore we've made it 2 videos. So this is an introduction for the second video in the series of
the interviews.
How it is done, how Dulcimer players play by ear, how they actually do it, what they think. And so that's kind of exciting stuff.
And finally, you're going to get to meet Bill Davenport, which we haven't mentioned him much on here, but you're finally going to get to meet Michael O'Brien, who I've worn his name out on here because he was a big influence on me in my playing, and we've kind of learned a lot together over the years.
Yeah.
So you're finally going to get to meet him. So we interviewed both of them together. We didn't actually know that was going to happen. I went to find Bill and brought him in there, and when he came, here was Mike with him. So we just sat them both down.
That's right.
And picked their brains.
We are adaptable. We adapted to the situation, and both gentlemen have a lot of good information, and so we really hope that you're going to enjoy watching this interview and that you're going to find lots of little nuggets, big nuggets, all kinds of information to help you in your journey.
Hey, we're here with Mike O'Brien and Bill Davenport. We're continuing to talk about playing by ear of all things. So met you guys both at or through the Cumberland Gap.
Thank you. You met him long before me.
So we've been down a long road since then. Played a lot of songs together, but we're going to talk about playing by ear and the whole process and kind of how you started and if you use sheet music. And Cindy got all the questions. She's a smart one she got the paper, but I don't get any paper. I just have to wing it.
Paper trained.
I am paper trained. We know that for fact. And just to clarify, you are 100% ear player.
Yes.
And you are?
I'd say 100%. I mean, yeah. I started out, okay, I'm talking, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So when I joined the Louisville Dulcimer Society, all these tunes that we play, I didn't know them. So I started hearing them. And they hand you tabs so you go home. I don't read music, never have, still don't. So you go home, you take the tab, but then I am what you're calling audiate or something. What Rick has said before on his videos, when somebody says the tune, bingo, page 12. That's the joke. It's back there on page 12. So as you start learning these tunes, and I've been playing dulcimer since 2006. So after a while, they're stuck in your head. And that's the thing, get them stuck in your head. So I would use tab when I would get home and they'd have a new tune. I would use the tab to jar my memory. So then over time, I mean, it's like it's second nature to when you hear the tune or the name that I know where it is. So
Good. That's good. That's really good. Interesting stuff. What is your number one tip for someone, we're going to stick with Bill just a minute, for someone wanting to play by ear, what would be your number one tip?
Get it in your head. Get the tune in your head. I mean, you can take the tab and play it, But I've always said to people that, to me, your eyes, your ears, and your hand and your heart are all connected. Well, when you play, now I know you play from, I've watched you can play, from tab and music. But for me, once that vision gets going, then the heart and the hands, they get lost or something. I mean, so for me, to play out of the heart, I can't look at tab. So for me, it's the heart and the hands and just, because you know what the song, when you get it in your head, you know what the song's going to do and where the notes are, where your hand's going to go.
So for somebody like me, because people always says, get it in your head, get it in your head. And you told me that. I've heard it all my life. But because I am a paper person, I would be like, okay, well, it's in my head. I kind of know how the song goes, and I look at it and I can play it. So what does get it in your head really mean? Because people like me don't understand that.
Okay, if somebody were, I was thinking about this one day in one of your videos, that if everybody says, let's sing happy birthday, you don't even think about it. You know it. I mean, happy birthday is stuck in everybody's head. So the trick is finding it on your fretboard. So, I mean, it's the whole thing for me is getting the tune in your head. And I'll listen to a lot of fiddle and mandolin music, because that's where a lot of what I do comes from. Fiddle and mandolin players. So.
Okay.
And when you say get it in your head, okay, I know it's in your head because you have the music, but forget playing an instrument and go back to your nursery rhymes. How many of your nursery rhymes could you sit down and pull up right now and start to sing? They're in your head.
Right.
Or you couldn't do that.
Right.
Now it's just a matter of getting it from your head to your instrument.
But not everyone, and I think I understand it now, but I'm asking this just to clarify for people, because not everybody knows what get it in your head means. I did not before we started doing this challenge. I thought I knew what it meant,
It's there, but it's not there in the form that you need it to be.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to be able to pull it out without an instrument.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you get to that point, then you can sit down with your instrument and you'll slowly figure it out.
So getting it in your head is deeper than just knowing how a song goes.
Yes.
And that's part of the problem for me. I missed that part of the process. So Mike, what is your number one tip for someone wanting to play by ear? Do you have anything else?
It's the same way. I mean, you just have to listen and get it in your head. And like I say, get it in your head to the point, where you can hum it anyway, without having an instrument in front of you, just to be able to hum.
What kind of sources do you use for that?
YouTube is a great source. Sitting down with other musicians. Always sit with people that play above your capabilities, and you'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
But,
You were saying something to me yesterday about the back row.
yeah, you don't learn in the back row. You need to move to the front row where you can see, observe,
Yep.
listen. The back row is for the ones that already know that they don't want to really get involved yet, but they actually know the tune. The front row is for the ones that really want to learn and need to hear and need to see what's going on.
Well, I'm going to tell you, because when you go to all these websites and they talk about going to a jam and learning and stuff, you know what they say? Sit in the back. Play quietly. That's what they say.
Now, if I go into a group that I'm not used to playing with, I'm still going to go to the front, but I'm going to play quietly. Music is regional, okay? What we play here may not be the way they play in Knoxville or the way they play, over here. So I've got to get my feeling first as to how this group's going to play. So I will play quietly, and I'll play in the background, but I still want to be up front where I can hear and see what they're doing. And then it doesn't take long from that point that I can jump in and start playing, but I want to make sure I'm playing the way they expect it to be played.
So we don't have to worry about just the fact that we're playing quietly doesn't even necessarily mean that we are going to be identified as a beginner or whatnot, or draw any attention to ourselves, because you, as an accomplished person, are still going to be playing quietly if it's a place that you're not used to or a group you're not used to.
Yeah, I've never had anybody reach over and smack my hands.
Well, you're a big guy.
I have had to tell people to get into their picks so I can hear them.
Yeah.
He's been told that by several people.
One of them. I watched him for years at the jams, and I watched him moving all that, hold his dulcimer up sideways like some people do, and fingers moving all over the place, and I couldn't hear him. I think, I wonder what he's playing. So I sat by him one day.
It's tough.
I said, Bill, you've been doing all this stuff, and I couldn't even hear him. It's fantastic stuff.
Look at
It's
'em.
all over.
They're old. They can't hear anymore. You know.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Bill. Do you practice with recordings or live jams or both? Or like, do you play along with YouTube? Do you play along with CDs? Do you do that?
All of that. I mean, like say when once I've got the tune in my head, and it's second nature to play it, then I start kind of experimenting. And okay, when I took a class when I first started, Shelley Stevens, I learned more from that class. She basically sat us down and said, okay, we're going to take this song. I can't even, it may have been old Joe Clark. And she said, you know, when you go to these classes, you're taught everything's on the melody string. You're doing this. So she told us she wanted us to find the same note on different strings. Well, you know, I'm one of these people, when I was in school and they would give a test or something, I'm going, well, everybody's going faster. What am I doing? So it was like that. It went, over my head, and I thought, what is she talking about? So I started doing that, and I said, okay, it's an F sharp. Where is that up here? Oh, here it is. It's on the melody string. So I would take that and experiment. I knew the tune, so I would bug around with it, and I would watch a video if somebody would play it, and I would find it on the middle string. So instead of doing this, now I'm doing this. And that helped me. And then listening to fiddle and mandolin, that's where things would come in at that, at 3 o'clock in the morning when I would be awake and try to go back to sleep. I would take tunes like old Joe Clark, but you can cross over into those middle strings. So that was the fun of this 3-string instrument, 4 strings, whatever, or 6 as somebody does. And so I would experiment. And for me, that was the energy, and that was the thing that excited me the most. Just finding these notes elsewhere.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did you use fiddle tunes way back when, or do you use that now? And the reason I ask is like fiddle tunes, it's like every little eighth note, and so when I listen to a fiddle tune, it's just like mud. It's just craziness.
Well, that's because I think when we talk about fiddle tunes, of course, they're old dance tunes, So when everybody says fiddle tunes, you're thinking dance tunes, from whenever people came over, and they brought their music with them. So I would listen to the variations. Somebody playing it on a fiddle or somebody playing it on the mandolin. And I try to adapt that.
Okay.
One of the ones that I talk about is Adam Steffi plays Rock the Cradle Joe on the mandolin. And I love that he's got a B part in there that I try to emulate. Because you don't hear it on a dulcimer group. They don't play it. But I love it, so I hear it. So that's why I listen to a lot of fiddle and mandolin music to incorporate that. Something a little bit different. If everybody's playing on the melody string and you start kind of doing something a little different, not going crazy, but just every once in a while, throw something in there that somebody's ear goes, what was that?
Mike, can you talk us through how you would figure out a tune on the spot? Like if you went to a jam and there was a tune that you never heard before, what would kind of be your process?
If I've never heard it before, if it's a fairly complex tune, the first thing I'm gonna do is pull out my cell phone and turn on my voice recorder and record it. Now, I've been doing this for so long, playing by ear, and the longer you do it, the more comfortable you get, and you start knowing where your notes are going to be on this fretboard. So I can kind of pick through and get most of my notes while I'm sitting there.
Okay.
But I always like to have that recording, because you know as well as I do, when you walk away from this jam tonight, tomorrow morning, it may be another song that makes that earworm that you dream about all night long. But I want to go back to that tune. So I have a recording of it that I can sit down and listen to. Mm-hmm. And once again, you got to get it in your head. Once you get it in your head, now you can sit down and you can learn to play it.
Well, and we were talking about this earlier. Some of the tunes you played yesterday, and after y'all played them through 3 times, I had not heard them before. And I was feeling pretty good that I could play like a 4 to 6 note phrase after the end of 3 times through the song. And, and I was like singing it in my head, and I thought, okay, this is good. But by this morning, they're all
You just said an important thing, phrase. And we've talked about this, and patterns. You hear patterns in the tune. Mm-hmm. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. And how it goes down is whether you can do it, note, or throw some extra notes in there, but it's going to, it's either going to go down or up, or back to the root, or back to back to that first, the main key. So that's, for me, it's like.
And then once you start hearing those patterns, now you're going to learn this pattern, and you're going to think, wait a minute, this is the same pattern they're using over here.
Yeah.
There's only 7 whole notes, so how many new songs can really be?
But for somebody like me, some of this stuff we have to be told, because we don't do it naturally. And when we started this whole thing, I told Rick, I was like, I have trouble recognizing if a note's up or down. And he was like, I've never heard of that. And I'm
didn't
like,
compute for me. That didn't make a bit of sense.
But we just learned though, because we did a lesson like 2 weeks ago, and it was like the timeline, and they were talking it might be a couple of months before you can really learn to recognize if a note is going up or down. And that made me feel better, because I felt like I would have lost cause.
Yes, but once again, when you start paying attention to your fretboard, mm-hmm. Okay, you're going to start here. Your notes have nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Okay, and now once you reach this, and you're going to come back, you got to come down. Well, mm-hmm. Whatever goes up has to come down. You'll start seeing that. It happens.
They say on this timeline thing that we did, they said about 6 months. I mean, now, and this is somebody doing 10 to 15 minutes a day on a regular basis. They said about 6 months will be a major improvement. You'll see a major
Back to what you all just got through teaching, the noodling. And we've talked about this, I've commented on your videos. I used to work second shift, and wife and kids would be in bed when I came home. And that's what I would do when I got home. I would sit down in my chair with the dog. I always stayed beside my chair. And I would sit there for 20 or 30 minutes every night, not playing a particular song, just playing notes.
Yeah.
And hearing where they were at, and seeing the relationship in the, on the fretboard. And that cleared my head up more than anything else when it came time to learn, because I already had a pretty good idea where it was going to be. One person that I talked to, I think you met Gwen, I told her early on, you'll be driving down the road and you'll hear a song on the radio, and your mind is going to start visualizing your fretboard where those notes are going to be.
Yep.
Dangerous. But it happens. And the more you get into that, the more you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, you start visualizing where these notes are going to be.
Well, if a beginner says, I can't play by ear, what would you tell them?
Sing Mary Had a Little Lamb for me. If it's in your head, you can't play by ear, but how did you pull it up? And that goes back to, like I said, pull up your nursery rhymes. If you can remember those and pull them up, they're there. But it's by ear.
And do what you do. Watching you the other day, you were struggling, and you said, I'm going to find these. And you did.
Yes.
Because you put the paper down, you took that crutch away from you, and you started. And that's where it begins. When you put the paper down, and just, and if you make a mistake, nobody's going to give you the stink eye.
I'm trying. I feel like
You're doing
there
good.
are certain skills that I have to develop before I can just get rid of the paper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm working on those, and I feel like it's getting better. And so hopefully other people do too, because I don't think this is something that you're going to learn in a class or even in an all-day workshop, a weekend workshop. I've had lessons that I've paid for that went like 6 weeks online and stuff, but it wasn't enough,
And everybody learns different.
Yeah.
What works for one may not work for another.
Just be committed, stick with it, and from what we learned on the timeline, if you could give it 6 months, it's going to be a major difference. If you give it a year, you should be doing good. And they're saying within 2 years, you should pretty much be fluent. So,
And get you a bill to play with. Because if you hit that wrong note, you can always look over at Bill like it was his fault and nobody will know.
I'm a retired telephone man. I got big shoulders.
all right. Well, I think that concludes this. Anything else that you need to know? They gave us a lot of good info, didn't
A lot
they?
of good information.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, everybody gives it a shot. Like I said, I told you all before, I really enjoy the videos you all put out on this. And I enjoy the comments. I hope more people will comment so that we get a feel for what everybody's going through, not just one or two. Because it does. What you may think is irrelevant may help this person over here. Those are some great videos. Like I say, I really enjoy it.
Thanks. I think it's helped because, like, you and I were talking yesterday, and I don't tell on him. He's learning some music now, learning to read music. What?
Barely.
So we're having
Barely.
to turn things around a little
Rich
bit.
gonna smack my hand. He's already said, we're just not getting them to our side. Don't give it up.
And yeah, so
Say that.
it's just learning music for the ear players is just as hard as playing by ear
Oh,
is
absolutely.
for the music players, and a lot of people don't understand it.
It goes back to I'm in the exact same position you're in. I've done this for so many years, and now teaching an old dog new tricks.
That's right. We're going to do it.
Yes, maybe. Somewhat.
No, we're going to be positive about it. And 6 months down the road, we'll have a check-in and we'll see where we are. Okay?
No, it might take me more than 6 months.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, both of y'all. It's been a pleasure.
So I hope you are enjoying these interview videos as much as I enjoyed making them and watching and taking the advice. Our friends had some good things to say. Rick enjoyed making them as well, and we look forward to hopefully doing some more in the future. For now, though, I want to give you the song assignment for this week, and the song assignment is Moses Hoed the Corn. Now, we have made a jam along video and we have posted it on our YouTube channel, and we would like for you to go and use that as your sound source. You can also look and watch our hands and see a little bit what's going on. And so that'll be a little bit different for you, you know, and we give you a few tips on how to get started. But go to the Moses Hoed the Corn Jam Along video. In the video description are little chapters, and you can watch it all to begin with. But after that, anytime that you just need to hear the audio source or see us play it, you use the chapters and you can touch, and it'll take you right to the final version, and you skip all of our banter and chatter. So that'll make it easy for you to get back to that place on the video. So good luck. It's a good song. Our club really likes playing it, and I think you will too.